I've been riding the Supersonic for about 2 years now, so I think I have a good understanding about how this board works. And even more on what are some good ways to set it up. Hey there, I'm Michael and I definitely have too many longboards. But on my quest for the perfect ride, I have to obtain the coolest boards there are. Some need to go, but some are here to stay. And the Supersonic is definitely here to stay. It is definitely one of the most recommended boards out there, so let's find out why that is. The Supersonic comes in 3 versions, divided by plies, meaning the amount of layers it is constructed with. It has a 6-ply, a 7-ply and an 8-ply sandwiched between fiberglass. The more layers, the stiffer the board. So if you are heavier and want less flex, you want more plies. Be aware that there are 2 versions, the older maple and the newer bamboo ply version. If you can get the bamboo version, do it. It is a bit more durable. Although you can see my maple deck is still perfect and there is not really that much failure that I'm aware of. So just see what you have available locally and get that, since the price is pretty much the same. I have the old 7-ply maple version at about 73 kilograms and do not yet see a reason to retire this deck. So just be aware that this is still widely available, but won't be forever, since the future seems to be bamboo. The board has a nice dampening flex with a pretty mild concave. It is quite easy and comfortable to stand on, and it also features a mild crescent drop in the front and rear that you quickly appreciate when you find that sweet spot at the front to anchor yourself. It kinda feels like an inbuilt foot stop. Also, the crescent drops kinda mediate the flex a little, making it flex in the deck and not in the brackets, which feels a little nicer and less soggy than other boards. But let's talk about the main features, which are the angles. The front is a straightforward 15-degree angle. This works ideally with 43 to 45 degree fronts, ending you at about 60 degrees in the front. The rear has 2 planned options and a hidden one, but I'll explain that one later. The rear has a 40-degree angle on the front position and a minus 17 degree on the rear position. The first position is used with a 40-degree reversed rear, landing you at 0 degree. This is all lean, no turn, which makes the board super easy to push because the rear adds so much stability. The rear is minus 17, which ends up being 23 with a 40-degree truck in normal orientation. This enlarges the wheelbase quite a lot and makes this board pretty flexy, giving you the option for big flexy surfy pumps. It is the more playful option of those two, but it is not as easy for switch pushing. I kinda started out completely on the flipped rear, but kinda transitioned into the other position. It feels like I can just get a little more performance out of there. Also, there are 2, let's say, hidden versions up there. One is the neutral option. I drilled a couple of holes in the back to add a tail like this lap skate tail. It's not completely height matched with the front, but works with a little experimentation. You can't use super large wheels, but it still gives you a great time. Of course, you could chop off the tail, but that's a more extreme option I'm not going to cover in here. Another hidden option is to increase the D-wedge in the rear and add a 0-degree truck, landing you at minus 30 to minus 35 degree in the rear. To check out why you would want something like that, check out this video by Seth. But essentially, it moves your pivot point behind the board, making this feel like a bigger board. All of these options feel awesome, and it's mostly preference. Distance pushers seem to gravitate to the rear option to leverage the flex it gives you when pushing. I like both positions and swap in between regularly. But let's talk about setups, beginning with trucks. When you buy the board as a complete, you get to choose between 130mm or 150mm bear trucks and Paris 150mm trucks at varying angles. These are both very good choices. If I would buy a Supersonic right now, I would get a 40-degree 130mm bear for the front and the rear. This gives you a 55-degree front truck and a 0-degree rear truck with the reversed option. Swap the front bushings for some ADA Riptide APS bushings like a fat cone and give the rear another full turn to tighten it. Getting bushings right at the beginning is hard, so just ride a little and see what you prefer. Too soggy? Get something harder. Too stiff? Get something softer. But you're gonna be just fine. A setup like this, it is easy to push and pump and works perfectly out of the box. You can think about getting a 3-degree wedge for the front to set it to 58. Lots of people seem to like it, and it's a cheap upgrade. For wheels, you can take any competitive wheel around 85 to 92mm and be completely fine. You get the stock board with either seismic speed vents or Pantheon karmas. If you're not doing some extremely intense pumping, you'll most likely be fine without any additional risers. Although I like to have a little one in there just for safety. I also enjoy the 88 wheel coat double dragons on this board. Any brand wheel is gonna be just fine. And with additional risers, you can pretty much run anything you want. Even huge wheels like the 105mm Dadbots or the 102mm Hokus. The Hokus are amazing for pushing, so if you're mostly into that, you're gonna be good. For a more balanced approach, go for some of these smaller wheels, since they are a little bit easier for hybrid riding. I never tried them, but the 90mm seismic megawatts are apparently amazing. So these are another good option. Depending on your riding style, even with big wheels, you can get away with almost no risers. I had the Hokus on there for my Berlin trip on a modded bear truck in the front with just a tiny riser, and it worked just fine. Although if you do some deep carving, better stay safer and go with some risers to avoid wheel bite. So we've covered popular options, but let's go for some less conventional options. The cool thing is, this board fits anything you can throw at it, and has a phenomenal growth curve. From basic shelf trucks, it even fits, as far as I know, the highest end trucks you can imagine. Get a 45-degree precision truck, maybe de-wedge it 2 or 3 degrees if you feel that you'd benefit from it, and just go to town. I had modified bear trucks on there, caliber trucks on there, Scythe freeride reapers, gizmo trucks, the MK space trucks, poppies. There really is no limit, and everything just works phenomenally. It also works with TKPs like the Bennett Vector, but I never found that I preferred them over the RKP experience. It just feels more solid. What you can also do is that you buy an additional 30-degree bear base plate to have a 13-degree rear on the further wheelbase option for even more stability. Another cool option is to have a 20-degree rear truck in the rear, wedged to almost zero. This gives you the stability of a 0-degree truck on a longer wheelbase, making this board even more efficient. It is, however, a little more expensive, since 20-degree rear trucks tend to be expensive CNC milled trucks. So be aware of that. One thing I'm currently testing is having a 0-degree truck in the rear. It looks promising, but stay tuned to the channel to see my opinion on that. But back to the setup. You can see there is almost nothing you can't do. And the board can grow with you. You are gonna feel good on it as a beginner, but you can easily take this board and break some records too. Also some additional stuff. But with the rear mounting options, you can easily add a kicktail or a handle if that's something you're into. I think it's a nice to have, but not necessary. But coming back to the beginning and summing this up, why is this board recommended so often? It can do almost anything at a price class that punches way above its weight. It is very durable, feels premium, and looks amazing. And I'm gonna be honest, the really only way to top it is to go for a tailored board fitted to your needs that will easily run you multiples of what you pay for this board. Also, the board is super flexible. Whenever I get something new, I'll just slap it on the Supersonic and it just works. You have a billion different ways to set up this board, and that ensures that it will never get boring and the board is just built to last. So why is everyone recommending this board? Because it's just worth it. I hope this review helped you. And if you're more into that stuff, feel free to check out the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!